F. Oh, well, we'll save that for later. But listen, the Smoking Section podcast. We are here with none other than Nebula, Ben Donner, my man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. I just it's been a lot recently, but I just found some time to really chill out. So I'm just taking as much as I can in this time to chill before it starts ramping up again. So I'm just very grateful to be here, bro. So thank you.
Again, we chopped it up a little bit in the green room, but super thankful to have you here. Yeah, even like kind of planning this, dude. It was like, oh wait, I got this time. Wait, hold on, no, wait. And I'm just glad that we're finally able to make it link and make it mesh. You are a very, very busy individual.
Yeah.
Um, I've had the pleasure of cyber stalking you a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I cyber stalked your page a little bit. I was like, oh my god, he's so dope, dude. If you want to take just a brief sec, man, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, what you do, who is Nebula, I guess would be the first question, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So my name's Ben. I go by Nebula. I've been dancing for about I'd say 11 years now. More on like the professional side, I'd give myself at least, very new to trying to take this to a professional level. I started out freestyling and kind of like was put in I don't know, dance was like a calling in and out throughout my life. And by the time I hit my sophomore year of high school, um, and there was dubstep music, and the dubstep era was happening. Watched
Mm.
a video of I watched a YouTube video. We can get into it more in detail, but I watched a YouTube video and it made me go, this is it right here. And it was a very,
Mm.
very important time in my life. Kind of just finding identity in who I was. I mean, going through high school, it's always for everyone. It's like, who are you besides what you're doing now? You're like figuring things out. And I just decided, you know what? I'm gonna be a dancer. I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna go for it. I was on my way to actually trying to get a major in theater, actually, and actually in choir, get a major in those areas. But eventually, dance was just moving, and opportunities and people that I've not met over the years kind of projected me to want to dance more and even strive to do something more with it. Never knew what it was. I was just like, the ball's rolling. Let's just keep it rolling. And then I got into the battle world, and that kind of just took me by storm. That like just sucked me right into the dance community. Got to meet so many people, especially a lot of the big folks that you know now before their fame. I got to meet them, especially from the NorCal scene. So I was around a lot of the Sacramento and the Bay Area scene. And then I just kept going with dance. I'm currently more focused when it comes to. I'm a full-time dance teacher, so I
Nice.
don't work a 9 to 5. I don't work a side gig. It's all freelance. I started my own LLC from last year called Nebula Dance Program, and I've been just blessed with the opportunity to work with elementary schools and high schools, different studios. I currently work at 2 studios, and I work at a couple other schools within where I live in Sonoma and Marin County. So I've just been really blessed to be able to do what I love and be financially supported through that, and have also the support of my family. And it's been great. It's just been allowing me to just literally dance and express my gratitude for it, my drive and wanting to know more about it, and then teach that to students and inspire them to want to kind of go the same route. So, but yeah, that's like my whole dance journey right there. Past 11 years and still going. So
Nice, dude.
yeah,
Let's unpack that a little bit. You said that you started in your sophomore year of high school,
yes.
got into like the whole dubstep. What was it? What was there a click moment? Was it a subtle descent into the madness of dance? What what was that moment where you're like, yo, this is like, was there a specific video or a specific
Mhm.
performance that you saw?
Yeah. So like packing into that, I think dance and music both were like in my life heavy
Mm.
growing up. My dad, this is gonna be a long story, so I'll try to put it all together really nice. My dad was really into funk music, especially in the 80s, electronic funk.
Mm-hmm.
And he, after high school or like during high school, at the time it was very different. My dad is a white American from the East Coast, moved out to the West, and he hung around a lot of black and brown folks, and they kind of would get in, show him about, hip hop and funk, and he was really loving it, and so he got into DJing. Used to go by the name uh, Cool D, I believe. Yeah.
Hey.
So he listened to a lot of like Egyptian Lover, a lot of Cameo. Um Gap Band, and his favorite artist is Morris Day and the Time. And so
Mm.
growing up, I was listening to a lot of the 80s funk. So Morris Day, Prince, uh, for sure, Michael Jackson. That was a big inspiration. So I started wanting to get more into dance and listening to funk when I was 8 because of Michael, and very inspired. But once he passed away, I used to dance with a childhood friend. Once he passed away, and my friend kind of was like, I don't want to dance Michael anymore, I just stopped. Down the road in middle school, I had an older friend in my neighborhood who started doing gliding and roboting and animation. That's when
Mm.
Nonstop's video came out, the Pumped Up Kicks. Yeah,
Ooh.
where it was like animation and Dragon House were like kind of on the come up.
Yeah.
Um, and that video was an inspiration. So I wanted to do roboting. And throughout that time, I was really inspired by like the way a robot would move, and I would try to emulate that, depending to the music, especially with like samples from Egyptian Lover, listening to his music. But then I stopped because he stopped, so I was very like just back and forth. By my end of my freshman year, top of my sophomore year, I came across a video in my science class. It was World of Dance 2015 Hawaii footage, front row of La Twins.
Ooh.
And when I watched that, it was like the moment. I was like, I want to do that. I want, like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is the third time dance has shown up in my life. I love the music. I love what it feels when I move. I'm going to do that. And I sucked. I was terrible. I was terrible. And I was biting every move the Twins were doing. And this is how people are going to know I was a big fan of the Twins. I usually don't tell the community that, but at the time I was a huge fan. That's all I wanted to do. I was like biting all their signatures and copying their choreography in my high school. And, people can say I'm biting, and, whatever. I was young. It was more of like for me I was really inspired by what they're doing. And that was the moment where I was like, I want to do this. And it started out as a hobby. It didn't really like become a passion until later in my sophomore year, where I kind of dealt with a lot of like things that happened in my life, kind of almost straying down the wrong path. And I had a
Mm.
choice to make. Um, Around that time, I was also just randomly put into choir. So I was kind of going back and forth between choir, singing, and dance my sophomore year. Um, Funny enough story about that is my friends wanted to audition for like the advanced choir, and they wanted me to do it because they're like, he's not going to get in, and we're not going to get in. So, let's just do it for fun. And unfortunately for them, I made it my
Yeah.
first year in the choir. So I was taking advanced choir and just all levels choir. Um, and I was just kind of playing between those arts. I loved music. I loved singing, and I started having dance as like a hobby. So I didn't take it seriously until the big like my sophomore year. My grandma, who was like the glue of my family, passed away from
Mm.
stage 4 cancer.
I'm sorry to
So
hear that.
yeah, no, it's all good. It was it's something that she battled with for a long time. Started out as breast cancer, and it would go, but then it'd come back and it'd go, and it was just kind of really hard on my family. But she was like the glue of it. And when she passed, I dealt with a lot of family issues where the family kind of things that were under the rug that were not really addressed started sprouting out.
Mm.
And my family kind of slowly began to fall apart between like my aunts and my uncles and my parents, and I didn't know how to express that. And the influences around me were like, try some substances, smoke some weed, drink some alcohol,
Mhm.
um, and that started to go down a bad route. So I was around a lot of influences in my high school year and middle school year too. So I was dealing with a lot. And I had a choice to make. It's like either I do what everyone else kind of thinks is the best way to handle it and use substances to ease the pain, or figure out another way to express. I was also into poetry, so I would start writing, um, but it didn't really feel enough until the day before my grandma passed, and I just felt this need to like dance to this song that like helped me like get through it, and really relieve my emotions. It's called man, it's been a while. It's called Cavalier. It is I can't remember the artist's name off the top of my head, but it was a very impactful song for me. It allowed me to really release my emotions, um, and I would dance to it because it helped me to really um, express all that frustration, all that sadness that I was dealing with, in a very safe way, rather than going out and you know going to a party and taking a bottle and doing all these things. Um, and once that hobby went through that, it became a passion. And from there
Mm.
on, I was like dance was put in my life because it saved me from what I could have ended up. I could have
Yeah.
I could have been with friends. We could have went to a party. We could have all been drunk and drove, and we probably would have get in a car crash. I could have overdone it and got alcohol poisoning. I could have. There's so many other situations that could have happened if I went down that route, and I'm just so blessed and grateful that dance was put in my life to redirect myself away from that. And that was the moment where everything just started clicking, with dance and what it was meant for me, at that time.
Wow, man. Wow, it's really, well, I don't want to say coincidental. It's very beautiful how life connects in ways where, you know, me and Jesse were just even talking about how sometimes you have to let certain things go
Mm-hmm.
to accept the redirection that, that life has for you.
Yeah.
And, even for myself looking back, I really got active in dancing during high school, even more just afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very slow drip where I realized like I'm gonna have to let go of some of these friends that I have because they are going out and they are at the parties every Friday. Even for myself, I had friends who were, 3-4 years older than me. And I got started around, like really started dancing around the same time about my sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they were going to the freshman college parties and I got to tag along at 15, 16 years old. I thought I was the jam.
Mm-hmm.
There was a different feeling though that I got when somebody would point at me and be like, "Oh, he knows how to dance though." Or, would be at the school dance and it's like, "Hey, come on, like, come dance." And there was a certain feeling like, "Oh, they actually like that I do this, and I like that I do this. Maybe I should be a little bit better, because there was some dudes who I could definitely point to who were just, light years advanced. Um, so it's a beautiful thing to kind of see, even, not even just in my own life, not, Jesse's, but also in yours, where there's these callings, man, this calling out in the distance of like, hey, this is over here. It feels good when you do it, and it's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of have to answer that. You have to answer that call within yourself. It's
Mm-hmm.
either I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna get blitzed and drink a few, or I'm gonna go over here and I'm a sweat, and I'm gonna practice, and I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch this Philip Shabib video 15,000 times.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch this Robert Moraine video 20,000 times until I get it down. And who cares if we're biting?
Yeah.
I just said
Yeah.
it. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Who cares?
I was
Really?
15 years old. I didn't have a single inspiration around me, and this was the next best thing. And I come from a very rural town out in North Carolina,
Wow.
2,000 people, and I think that was still kind of like shooting high. So there was like me and my 4 friends who all danced, and then everybody else. So it was like
Yeah.
not a lot happening in the
Yeah.
town. So yeah, man, it's really cool though to hear that origin of kind of, there was a very dire situation that happened for you, and then it was like you either rise up and kind of take like that hero's journey,
Mm-hmm.
or like full blown villain era, villain phase would have taken full effect.
Yeah. I think the interesting part about that is that my villain era kind of started once I really got into it. I think it was around when COVID happened. That was a very hard time for a lot of people.
Yes.
And just having to deal with like being inside and not doing anything. But for me, that was the perfect time to like dive deep. It's like you got nothing to do, still with your parents. You're in college now. Like all you got to do basically is do school and practice. And I would train every day, and I think the villain era when it comes to dance, right? There's like 2 ways you can operate with dance. And I think that comes with maturity. Is during that villain era, it really taught me to really see how hard work does pay off, but also taught me a lot that sometimes approaching dance that way can actually hurt your dance and also hurt yourself, like here. So I think around that time, there wasn't a lot going on, but a lot of the people that were hosting things was the flex dance community and the turf community. So I was getting more into those areas, and I have high respect for flexers and turfers, but they're from outside looking in. There was a lot of dancers that also went through traumatic things, and this is their way of expressing it. And ego would get involved. So when ego goes against ego, it causes conflict in dance. And because I was around that influence, I started picking up those mannerisms. So my ego would get big and really big. So as this was kind of like that arc in dance where it taught me a lot about, that dance is an outlet, but it is not the end all be all. That's what I've learned now, is dance is like a tool, but it's not the whole meaning of life. Not everyone's going to be a dancer. Not everyone's going to take it professionally. Some people look at dance as a hobby, and some people want to take it as far as they can. And then there's some people who just won't, you know? And I think, I think that villain arc was necessary in my dance career. Now, villain arc of like going down that path of like substances and just kind of throwing life out the window, I'm blessed and grateful I didn't have to experience that, because that would have been a whole different story. And who knows if I would have even been here in this moment, you know?
Yes.
Um, yeah. So I think everything has a purpose to it. That's how I see things now, you know?
Be, what's that song? God bless those broken roads. You know what I mean? God
Mm-hmm.
bless all those broken roads. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a lot of broken roads. I think that all of us, when we really sit down and like unpack it and look back, all of us have our own series. I heard Michael Beasley say something of there's there's a lot of ways to the top. There's a lot of different pathways to the top, but the top's all got the same view.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, wow, like we really do have our own journeys, and whether we go fast or whether we go slow, the top of that mountain ain't, it's not going nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's the same view at 25 years old, 35, 45, 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that it is almost necessary for everybody to really reach their max potential, to go through that breaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it does take an ego check.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it does take that reality check. Got to take it on the chin.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll wake you up to who you are,
Mm-hmm.
a lot more than who you think you are, right? Or who you might perceive yourself to be. Uh, One of the things I'm really trying to get into is I hear a lot of people talk about purpose. What's my purpose out here?
Mm-hmm.
And I think down at the root, for myself at least, my purpose in life is very simple. It's to know God, glorify his name, and make him known to others. Very simple. My
Mm-hmm.
calling in which I do that, it can be all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And dancing, I feel like, was that first calling of my recognition of, hey, there's something happening inside of here that wants to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I even went through a similar ego stroke of, I want to be in the room with the best dancers. I always want to line up to the next best guy,
Mm-hmm.
the best dude and the best person and this and this and this. And it kind of made me look at people who I didn't view that way as less than,
Mm-hmm.
unworthy,
Mm-hmm.
unentitled, untitled. They don't even have
Yeah.
names. They're just another familiar face.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was when those unfamiliar faces started stomping a mud hole in me, it was like, oh snap, I ought to know who you are. You've been practicing. You've been practicing just like I've been practicing. Wow. Like, and it shouldn't take that. It shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
take losing a battle very badly, or witnessing them get booked for certain jobs, or getting booked at a
Yeah.
certain studio. Like, whoa, now I know your name. Like it really,
Mm-hmm.
it really put me on a reality check that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because just for me to know God by his name is also for me to know everybody else by their name, right? For me to
Mm-hmm.
recognize that part that lives inside of them, I need to recognize that too. Like, take a moment and recognize that that's a part of my purpose. Recognize the
Mm-hmm.
God that lives in them, the God that lives in me, that lives in all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the breaking though, the pruning and the breaking, I feel is such necessary for all of us
Mm-hmm.
to truly grow,
Yeah.
and truly become who we are, not
Yeah.
just who we think we are.
Yeah. I think no, I resonate with that a lot. Throughout my, I call it the villain arc, but it's more of the child phase. Even
Mm-hmm.
though I was like 20 to 24, so in those 4 years, um, I felt like a lot of the dance was more from an ego perspective. Um,
Mm-hmm.
on top of all the things that got me into dance, I dealt with a lot of hardship in the sense of like social aspect things. Like I kind of felt growing up I was like kind of the background. in
Mm.
everything. So, you know, like in my friend group, I wasn't really one of the main in my friend group. I would always be picked last for things. I was never really uh, put as someone of importance. I was more of like, we're gonna be friends with you for convenience, you know,
Mhm.
because you have all the toys, because you have the latest games, because your parents feed us. We're gonna hang out with you. But as soon as the tables turn, we're gone, you know?
Mhm.
And I dealt with that throughout, I'd say I think the most awkward phase in our childhood, which is like middle school and high school, is like that weird phase where you're trying to figure yourself out. Um, and when dance was introduced to me, that was like the niche that I was like, I'm gonna just focus on that. And then it's like, oh, well, I can sing too, so I'm gonna focus on that. And then those two got me into acting. So now it's like, oh, he's a triple threat now. Oh my gosh. And so then I was like, yeah, you know what? Now it's my turn to be here. And all those people around me are now here. And that fed into, you know, my college years and going into my young adult life. And through that, I started like getting recognition. I started seeing progress. I won a battle, my first battle in 20, I think I'd say 2023 at the time. Also, on top of it, I had a girlfriend at the time. So it's just like all these things like, okay, look, I'm making it. I'm starting to get jobs. You know, I'm still working a 9 to 5, but I'm getting dance gigs. I'm doing all these things. And now I also have like a love interest. There's all these good things happening. So, but it's all because of me. And it didn't take too long until 2024, where the most impactful events was in around February or March, late February, top of March. I was at World of Dance 2024 Bay Area, and I lost the battle. And this was after teaching a week. I at this point I was teaching about 30 hours a week, just straight
Whoa.
teaching. So I wasn't working no more on a 9 to 5. I wasn't working retail. I wasn't working anywhere. I was teaching 30 hours a week, studios, elementaries, all of it. Also managing a relationship. And I go to this battle and I made it to top four, and it was a clear dub, and yet I lost. And I was like, dang, you know, I'm like mad. At this point, I didn't know how to handle losses still.
Mhm.
And I talked to one of the judges, and one of the judges that voted against me went, yo, you know what? I actually messed up on my criteria. I messed up on my decision. Honestly, I think you should have won. And that made it even worse. You know, knowing that a judge messed up on their
Ugh.
decision, you know, and then having the entire theater, the entire like when they went 3, 2, 1, and the other opponent won, everyone was just like, nah. So I had
Yeah.
everyone coming up to me. I had everyone uh, in the audience saying, "Yo, you should have won that. You should have won that. You should have won." So now it's like replaying, and the enemy's like right here, being like, "See, you should have won that. You didn't
Mhm.
win that." And that started to like affect like the way I handled dance. Also started to affect my relationship. And we went and her and I went on one more battle like 2 weeks later. Um, and for her, she was in the dance community. I got her into the dance community. She started battling, and she made top 16 for the first time. And I was like, "Yay!" I made top 8. I lost. I was not talking. I wasn't. I was just here, and I was just
Mhm.
upset. I was like, "I should have won that. I always lose to this person," um, and it was really bad. And at this point, like my relationship started falling apart. After that night, we went home. Um, she breaks up with me, and my whole world at this point was built on the foundation of dance and a relationship. Dance was falling apart already, and now the relationship fell. So it felt
Mm.
like everything I built has just crumbled, and I
Yeah.
fell far down. And this is where, you know, as someone who walks in faith now, I know that there's a lot of spiritual warfare, and especially within dance, and just anything in life there is. But with me, for my journey, I felt at the pit, um, and I was like very close to considering like ending my life because it was so hard for me to like take in this major loss. Because most people would think, well, it's just, it's just that, it's just temporary. Sure. Until you're there and you realize, my foundation was just that.
Yeah.
When your foundation is not sturdy and everything falls, you feel like there's nothing left. And the enemy was telling me there's nothing left. You might as well just say game over. And when I did consider it, that's when things completely changed, and I felt this presence over me that gave me peace, and I already knew who that was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and from that day forward, it has changed how I look at dance. Like dance to me now is not just the end all be all. It's like you said, a calling. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
my purpose is no longer just to dance and inspire every day. That's part of it. That comes with what I do. But my purpose now is spreading the gospel. That's how I see
Yes.
my life now. And how does that come off? How is that portrayed through me is through dance and the community, being a light within that community. Um, and that has helped me to really look at dance from a whole nother lens, and also understand others that are going through the same thing I went through, you know? So I think where I'm at now when it comes to my calling with dance is literally to be that light for someone, not to be like it's my light. It's not my light. I believe it's God's light shining through it, through
Mm-hmm.
what I'm doing. It's not my light. And I been, especially lately, have been really resonating with now we're going down a whole nother route. But what John says is he must become greater, and he must increase, I must decrease. And
Yes.
so for me, it's like when I have talks with people, I've had many talks with dancers lately about, what their purpose is, what they see dance, and sometimes they'll get deep, sometimes it's shallow, and it's just like we'll stay there. Um, but to show love to them regardless of how they see the world or how they see dance, is now what I think is part of my calling within dance and the community as a whole is, you know, to inspire, of course, the next generation, and give them the tools and point them in the direction they need to go with, learning more so they can become better, but also to be that light without having to be like, this is it, like I can show that same love that God shows to everyone just by being there, for the people in the community. Um, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, so let me rewind a little bit on that and say, thank you for being alive. Thank you. Thank you for being alive. Is one of my favorite things to say to people. This podcast started. Um, one of my really good friends, and I thought was just the best dancer that I knew. He was a shuffler, and he
Mm.
was just. I mean, the kid was just amazing. And during COVID, he decided to take his own life
Mhm.
for whatever reasons. And it was, I had messaged him a few times, and it was like, hey man, maybe we might be able to sneak out and hang out. Uh I started the podcast, so it was like I have so many friends that are just not only great dancers, or they're great individuals, and
Mm.
I might never see them again. Especially during the height of the whole joint. Like, who
Yeah.
knew when we would ever be back outside?
Yeah.
And so it was like, well, let me have this conversation with you. Let me check in with you and see where you're actually at.
Mhm.
and let's have this conversation on wax. So
Yeah.
20, 30 years from now, we can look back and be like, dude, this was a crazy era. Like, look at where we were.
Mhm.
Um, so thank you for being alive, man. And thank you for even sharing that. It takes a lot to share that. And this is the place for you. You have found a safe space, right? Like people
Thank
love saying that, but this is
you.
a safe space, bro. Was literally what this was made for. Was cool, some cool individuals that I got to meet that have really awesome stories, but that are also very, very human. They are very human individuals with very human feelings. And I think even touching on this aspect of, obviously we're brothers of faith, right?
Mhm.
And I find that, just, even kind of talking to an earlier thing of like that surrender of
Mhm.
knowing that I have to diminish myself. I have to really push myself this idea of who I am down so that the real part of me can glorify itself.
Yeah.
And it's not mine. I'm just here to steward it to share to you. I think a wonderful thing that I've heard recently was you may be the only gospel that someone ever hears and reads. And it's like, wow, 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 wow. And so now with my dancing, it's like, yes, this is my gospel. This is, someone might say, hey, where does this style come from? Or hey, why do you dance like that? And before it was all because I'm raw, all because it's this.
Yeah.
It's like, no, actually, there's this person that I don't mind telling you about. It's going to sound crazy, right? It's going to sound
Mm.
nuts, but just hear me out. Like, just hear
Yeah.
me out, man. Um,
Mm.
and I'm not exactly, I'm not exactly an evangelist, right?
Yeah.
But if you ask, I will tell you, so
Yeah.
only if you ask, bud.
Yeah.
uh you got 10 minutes, I'll tell you all about them.
Yeah.
uh it's beautiful though. It's beautiful to see that you're even, you're even taking your own calling and finding your ways to glorify his name and making him known to others. Like I was saying earlier, I think we get super wrapped up in all of our purposes. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, just know God, have that relationship, make them known to others, right?
Yeah.
Make them known. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have to convert. Like, I mean, me and some of my buddies have very differing opinions on that. But it's like, I'm not here to
Yep.
convert nobody, bro. The product sells itself. Like, I don't have
Hmm.
to convince you.
Yeah.
Uh, so we've definitely covered this villain arc, right? Kind of what's
Mm.
got you here today. Looking back, what would you say up until today, top moment, like moment, maybe it was your hardest battle, or it's like kind of like I've arrived, like I'm here now. What if you could pick one moment that stands out, which one would you say that is?
I think the first thing that comes to mind was earlier this year at Thesis.
Mm.
So I went to the Thesis Dance Festival for my first time. I remember telling Hans every year, "Yo, I'm gonna slide through." 2023 didn't slide through. Yo, 2024 I'm gonna slide through. Didn't slide through. 2025, nah, didn't go through. Finally, this year, 2026, I came out there, and I think going into this year, and this is where like it kind of sounds crazy. Going into this year, I had like a rough walk. I think because it was around that time. Um, yeah, okay. So around that time, I was just I was kind of clashing between what I wanted to do and what I felt God was calling me to go.
Mm.
And near the end of the year, my parents are like, "We're gonna go hang out with our friends before, New Year's for our New Year's party. Come with us." I said no, and okay, and going into the new year, instead of partying and spending time with friends and family, I prayed. I prayed into the new year, And that, this stuff. Uh, Praying into the new year, like from 11:45 till 12:10 or something. Just spending that time with me and my heavenly Father really set the tone for this year. And when I went to thesis, I was going there with the intention that I'm going to glorify the Lord in what I'm doing through my movement. And the group that I went with, they're my friends and from the Bay Area, so it was like kind of was like cool to be like, oh yeah, the Bay just flew the Bay from NorCal, from the real Bay Area coming out to Tampa, the Bay Area. So it's like super cool. But we flew out there, and while they were just hanging out and enjoying their time, I would take moments to just read the Word, just read my Bible and pray. And we go and we do prelims, and it took forever. But I prayed before that battle, and we did prelims, and then they just started pulling names out of the hat. They're like, we got our top 32, or I think, yeah, top 32. We're gonna pull names out of the hat. Names are going by. It's about an hour now. I'm like, dude, I haven't heard my name. And then they call me versus Tiny. She's from Arizona. Super dope crumper. She's part of Tiny Dead End. So yeah,
yes.
crazy dancer, young cat. And it's like 2 rounds, 30 seconds or 35 seconds. I was like, damn, okay, bet. So we go 2 rounds, and I'm like, dang, bro, like everyone's rooting for her. But I was like calm. Even though everyone was like rooting for my opponent, I was calm. Most of the time when I go in without this peace, like I get in my head. I'm like, oh well, she's got the crowd, so I'm gonna lose. I was at peace, and I did exactly what I intended to do. It was just like, I'm going to let like the spirit guide me through dance. And it's like 3, 2, 1. Like there's like 5 judges. Like I think it was like 4-1 to me. And I was like, oh snap, I'm going to top 16. And I was like, yeah, that's crazy. So I was like, all right. When I got back to our Airbnb, I felt like the Lord put on me is like, you have to keep this going. Do not fall into how the crowd wants you to move or how you think you should move. You need to just rely on me so that I can show you exactly what to do. And so that whole day, like before top 16, I prayed. I went, I battled. The next person I battled, it was Dreams from Arizona, like top 16.
What?
I'm like, oh snap, another one. Like I gotta go against Dreams. So I battled Dreams, and I won. That I think it was like maybe 4-1 or 3-2, and it was just like, oh snap. Everyone's like, a lot of people over there didn't know who I was. They've never seen me. They've heard my name, but they were like, oh snap, Nebula just took out Dreams. What is going on? And I'm like, I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, like, okay. So I leave, I go and I pray. They start top 8. I walk in for top 8. I'm battling Staccato. And it's like, these are titans, these opponents I'm battling are known as titans. And to me, it was as if like the Lord was like, bro, just, what to do. Like, just have faith in what you're doing. And I battled him. And that was like, everyone's like, first round's like, well, I don't know. And then that second round, it was a clear. Again, I beat him. I think it was like 3-2 or 4-1. And everyone's just like, oh snap, he just took out Dreams. He just took out Staccato. And at this point, I'm outside, I'm crying. I'm literally like, Lord, like, you're literally guiding me here. And again, I pray again. The next battle, top 4 semis. It was me versus Leah, who's also part of Dead End Fan from Arizona. So I'm just
Shout
going
out Dead End, man. Shout out Dead End,
I'm
man.
just going against all of the fam. And that was also a tough battle. And then I won that one. And I was just like, dude, I just made it to the finals. Like, and the Lord's like, I told you. Mm-hmm. So this is the moment where I felt kind of like Moses after he had to deal with the Israelites. So it's me versus Umbra. Umbra Hex, amazing Voger, amazing human being. And this is how my experience goes. But we're standing there, and Sam, who's hosting the event, says, all right, I just want to talk to you guys. And he asks a very intimate question, but everyone's listening. It was supposed to be just the three of us talking while everyone's just waiting, but everyone like leans in. So he asked this really deep question saying, what's fueling this battle for you? And this is where, for me, I felt like I could have just stepped into it, but because of my own fear, it was as if I was walking on that water like Peter, and I literally started sinking. Mm-hmm. Or it was like when Moses was supposed to speak to the rock and water would flow, but he was so irritated at the Israelites, he struck it and the water flowed. But that's not how the Lord said. So he asked that question. Umbra talks about their experience about, being queer in the community and having a hard time, like really getting valued as a dancer. And I know that they've worked so hard and tirelessly to be recognized for their craft. And for me, what the Lord told me, he's like, dude, you need to just say it how it is. The reason you are moving is because your Lord Jesus Christ is allowing you to do that. That's who's fueling it. And so when after that, like everyone's like, yeah. And I just got so intimidated because I understand how not everyone understands that, of me saying that. And I got timid feet. And so when the question was asked to me, I kind of just said, it's because of my God. Yeah. And they're like, okay, all right, let's get the battle started. And that was when I felt like the Lord was like, he's like, it's okay. But so as we do our rounds, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it when I went up against Umbra. Now it was a tough battle and I was in my element, but I didn't feel it in that moment. And so then they do the big countdown, 10, 9, 8. As they're counting, I audibly hear, yeah, you lost this one because you didn't do what I told you to do. But just know that this is all vanity. This is just a small part of life, and that you have ultimately already have won the greatest gift of all. Yeah. So this is just small. This is a small thing. As soon as he finished saying that to me in my heart, it was like 3, 2, 1, boom, Umbra, all judges to Umbra. So Umbra won that battle. And I was like, that makes sense. But what happened after that made me go, I still won, was this random person, I don't even know their name. And if they watch this podcast, thank you, because what they said to me just reaffirmed that I need to go. This is what I am supposed to do with my calling, is they came up to me and they're like, you were amazing to watch. And even though your movement is so intricate and it can be small, anything that you were doing was amplified. Like they felt like a whole nother energy was around me in that movement. And I was like, whoa, like that kind of caught me off guard. And then I talked to Jay Black, who was one of the judges, and he told me, he's like, you're the only dancer out of all the prelims. I rated a 99.9. and I was feeling you physically, I was feeling you emotionally, but I was also feeling you spiritually. And when he said that right after the other person said that, I was like this is a whole nother thing. And even now, like that was the moment that set the tone for the rest of this year. And God's been blessing me with so many opportunities to work with students, to grow different studios that I'm working with, to grow, pretty much put like seeds in new places for people. And also seeing the seeds that were planted previously starting to sprout, you know. And I've noticed that when I go into a battle and I give thanks to the Lord before and after, that's when the things that are supposed to happen really like unfold. I also feel like I'm at my best when I go in thanking the Lord versus when I don't. And it's happened like day and night. Like that literally happened this past 2 weeks. I went to Sacramento for a battle. And I just said, you know what, Lord, like let your will be done. You know, whatever's happened is supposed to be. And he knows the intention. Of course he knows I want to win. Of course he knows that. But I'm like, you know, whatever I'm supposed to do, like let it actually happen, and allow me to you know, humble myself to allow that to happen. And then I won. And then I go to Versus Style in LA the next week. I didn't do any of that. I didn't pray. I didn't give thanks. None of that. I made top 16, lost automatically. So it's not that it's tied together like, oh, I pray, I win. If I don't pray, I lose. It's more of like the Lord is rewarding me even in the smallest things for giving him that glory, you know? So I think thesis really, like the praying into the new year and thesis really set the tone for pretty much the rest of this year and probably the rest of my life, of what my calling is for, what that moment was that really made it like, this is it, you know? I don't see myself battling forever. I don't see myself teaching forever. There will be a point where all of that will cease, you know? So during that time, it's like, how can I show God's love in this community in a way that I believe Jesus would do, you know? So it's kind of a long thing, kind of trying to put together. I like to talk, but
no, that was great. That was hearing trials, tribulations, successes, and never a loss, but lessons.
Yeah.
And I really truly believe, and I do believe that this is where a lot of people do get confused. They say, if I pray more and I pray this way, success comes. And that's not exactly true.
Yeah.
David was anointed, and he had to serve the man in which he was to replace. And even Jesus himself said, I'm not here to be served, but to serve. And a lot of times we get so confused and so wrapped up in it of, I prayed and I did my tithings and I did this. Yeah. God, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And it's because it's supposed to happen this way. It's supposed to happen this way.
Yeah.
It's not only, and me and some of my buddies talked about this too, was all things are done to the benefit of those who love him. All of those things are done in accordance to a certain plan, loving him. I got through top 16. Yes, I love you. I got through top 8 and top 4. Yes, I got to the finals. Yep. Okay, now you lose. Do you still, Peter, do you love me?
You still, yeah.
Peter, do you love me? Peter, do you love me? Right? He asked him 3 times because there's a reassurance say it again, just say it one more time. Even, I have kids, man, and I'll tell them, no, no, say you love me. I love you, Dad. No, say you love me. But I just did. I know. I just like hearing you say it. Say it again. I love you, baby. And I'll tell, I love you, baby. I'll say you love me. I love you, Dad. I love you, baby. Say you love me. And it's just because even when I take from them or I tell them no, it's because 30 minutes from now, I got something better for you, bro. Don't worry about that right here. In my 30 minutes compared to, what God has planned for our lives
Mm-hmm.
might not be today, might be not,
Mm-hmm.
not even next week, but, a few months, a year later on
Yeah.
is just abundance,
Mm-hmm.
more abundance that we don't even know how to quite reap properly because we like it's like, did I even sow to reap this properly, uh God, he decides that. And so when the blessings come, I never
Yep.
question them. I just say
Mm-hmm.
thank you, Lord, and I keep it pushing.
Yeah.
That's cool though. That's really cool. That's one of my strong traditions is before battles or even before class. I find a corner or somewhere to kind of kneel down and pray
Mm-hmm.
and just make sure that I'm tapped in, just being thankful just for being here, who the
Yeah.
competition and all of that. Yes, be my armor and all of that. Uh, because I know that feeling too. You step on the stage and you can feel it in your toes, like, oh no, this
Yeah.
is about to be really bad. Like, oh no,
Yeah.
the music doesn't sound right. It's too loud. The
Yeah.
bass is too much. I can't hear the song. No, 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 no. Like, no, 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 no. And then you're in your head and it's happening and it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, um, that's cool. That's wow, man. Wow. There's not a lot of people that I come across in the dance community that has such a rooted faith. And, even as young as it is, I
Mm-hmm.
can really tell that you have a deep faith, man, and that um, your walk is very intentional with every step that you're taking, and very intentional in the way that you speak about it as well, in the way, now that I'm going to go back and cyber stalk your whole profile over again. um and I will already know that it's very intentional in the way that you move. So I think that display, displaying what you believe, speaking on how you do it and walking it is
Mm-hmm.
that's a lost art, man. That's a lost art amongst the people. And it's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. It's very beautiful to hear.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I feel like the losses that I've taken, even now, like, I feel like the last year was a lot of like extra heartache, but in the sense of maturing me to understand that whether things are good or things are bad, the Lord is just. The Lord is always
Hmm.
good. And, sometimes I have to refresh myself by being like, anytime I'm like, Lord, like I should have won, like this would have been so good, like, this or oh, this fell through. Um, it's like one of those things anytime I think of that, it's like the Lord's like, you know what? Like this didn't happen because it's not supposed to, because
Hmm.
there's something else. And even if this never happens, that doesn't mean like my goodness is not there. You know,
Yes.
you like what I think is right could be completely wrong to what the Lord has in store for me.
Yes.
So actually, even recently, I've I've actually taken even more losses on the sense of like projects and ideas I wanted to do. I wanted to throw a battle in August up here in Sonoma County, um, and unfortunately, with the nonprofit I was working for, I realized that we weren't seeing eye to eye, and they gave me a due date to come up with a certain amount of funds, and I was like, I can't do that. And though I could push it and make it happen, because the Lord will allow me to just make it happen, I knew it wouldn't be right. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to pull it. Even though I had my judges lined up, I had my DJs, I had communities from SoCal, because the goal was to get people from out of state to come up to where I live and experience my community, and also bring their artistry to this community. Because in Santa Rosa area, we have dancers, but the level is like their peak is low. And
Mm.
I personally think like if they were open to see the big dancers that they see online in live person, will motivate them to be like, I want to get there. Now that may or may not work regardless if it happened or not, but I just wanted to bring that mostly for the youth. The
Mm-hmm.
youth are the, what I've realized is like teaching the youth is a big responsibility, you know. And again, it's like one of those things where when I'm working with kids, I have to decrease and increase them so that
Mm-hmm.
they can build upon a foundation and point them in a direction that will help them grow as dancers and as individuals. Because more teaching and mentoring is more than just the dance. It's a lot about life. It's a lot about how do you handle situations, emotional regulation. There's so much things
Yes.
that I've learned being a dance teacher for kids that I should have just got a degree in teaching. Um, but you know, I had to say no to that. I just said, like, they're like, we need it by this date or we can't do it. And I said, just pull it. Also, on top of it, I was trying to restart my program. I did have a program last year. That's why I started my LLC. But unfortunately, that fell through too. And it was mainly because of poor choices from individuals, lack of accountability. And then I also had to go through surgery. I did get surgery on my ACL and my meniscus on my right leg in August last year. Um, I tore it November of 2024, and I was dancing on it for like 10 months. I won.
Oh.
Yeah, it was tough. I won, but I took a lot of wins during that year. And, you know, I was going head to head against top dogs in the battle scene on the West Coast, and I was either beating them or I was tying against them, you know. So it was one of those things. It's like, oh, Nebula has a torn meniscus and ACL, and he's still winning. Like, this is crazy. But I was given this decision. It's like either you get surgery now, like my surgeon was telling me, it's like you get surgery now, or you can keep dancing and you can get a new knee. And I was like, I can't. And I had to say no to so many opportunities for the studios. They were like setting me up with classes. I was getting, you know, all this stuff. I could have made a lot of money. Like I could have started making a lot of money. And I said, you know what? Like the Lord's telling me I have to do it. You know, at this time, my faith was very babyish. So I was like, I'll
Mm-hmm.
just pray to God and he'll magically set everything. And um, it's not, unfortunately, fortunately, it's not, it doesn't work like that, you know. So he has enabled us to be able to do things that, you know, we thought of, especially when it comes to the medical side of things, like the fact that we've created like microscopic like needles and all these things to instruments to work around very small things that could potentially ruin someone's life and fix it. I was like, I have to do it, you know. So I had to cancel my program. I had to walk away from a bunch of opportunities, and I got surgery. That was the longest 3 months from from August till November. By November, oh, that's a whole nother story. We might have to do a second on that one.
We
November was
definitely will.
Flavor of the Year 2020, 2025. Um, it was a miracle that I even made it down to LA. I drove down. That whole story is for a whole nother day, but the Lord allowed me to make top 32 3 months after my surgery, which was nuts,
Whoa. Yeah.
very nuts. Like there's no possible way out of my own strength could I have gotten that.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot just kind of has happened, but where the positioning of my heart is and where my spirit is even though things don't work out the way they're supposed to, like that doesn't mean there's like, oh, it's the end of the world. Like that's how I see it now. Even though I lost versus style, it was more of just like I see what it feels like when I go in not putting the Lord first and not giving him thanks. Even if I win or
Mhm.
lose, I feel different. I feel different. Like I was upset. I was like, dude, I, I just did all this other stuff this whole first half of the year. Why am I upset over this? I had to walk away and get some water at a gas station. I had to just walk and talk, And the Lord's just like, bro, like it's not that big of a deal. It's all vanity at the end of the day. Um, but I had to say no to the battle this year. I was working on trying to get a grant. I didn't get accepted for it. So a project I was working for now has to be pushed back even further. Um, all these things, but there's so much good that is still happening. So even though there's loss, like the Lord is still good. And
Mhm.
I'm seeing, I think one verse that really connects with me. It's in First Corinthians 13. It's that one where it's like, when I was a child, I ate like a child, I talked like a
Mhm.
child, I reacted like a child. But as I became a man, I had to put the childish things away. And
Mhm.
I'm starting to see that within myself and how I portray, like, perceive things that happen in my life. You know, Things don't work out. I give my time to be emotional about it, but then I have to be like, all right, it's time to move on. You can be
Mhm.
emotional for a little bit, but don't stay there because staying there is not doing anything. It's actually
Mhm.
taking that purpose that I've been given and putting it on hold and saying, you know what, this is more important to me. And then that's opposite. It's like I need to increase and he needs to decrease so I feel better so then I can switch it. When that's not the case, it needs to be like this always, where I
Always.
decrease and he increases. And that, though, I fall on my face and I'm not always perfect in it. Um, those moments where I'm not perfect is just a reminder that he's good. And even though I fail, I'm still loved. I'm still, you know, I'm still blessed with this gift, and I can still have this amazing impact on individuals. Like I have a video from not my mentor, my boss, my director for a studio. We went to Monsters this year, and
Okay.
it was in the Bay Area. So she
Yep.
signed me up to do the freestyle battle, the advance. Now, Monsters, the faculty, when they see me, they're over me. They're like, dude, are you battling? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, man, stop battling. You're too old. And I'm like, no, dude, I gotta teach y'all until you all have me on the judge panel. I'm gonna keep battling. Um, and so I battled, and I won that battle. And she sent me a video of like all our students like sitting there like watching. And when they go 3, 2, 1 and I win, you see their reaction, their faces light up, they're screaming, they're like, ah. And it's just like a reminder to be like, on those days where I'm selfish and I'm like, oh, this and that, I have to realize that I'm still like this hero to these students. Like whatever I do, win or loss, they're just like, this is insane. You're so cool.
Yeah.
So, it's those reminders, those little reminders that kind of just show me that it's not that big of a deal. Again, dance is dance. It's not just for me. It's not just for the world. It's like there's something so much bigger that it can be used
Mhm.
for. And so that's like where I'm at when it comes to dance and that moment at thesis, that moment at Flava, which we haven't even touched on. All these moments, dude, has really like impacted on how I see dance for my life and how I see the world and where a lot of my strength comes from.
Beautiful. I want to say that I want to make sure that word comes out of my mouth at least one more time. Beautiful in the way that you have been able to transcribe what someone would write off as a sad story or a story of failures or loss or a story that falls short of the mark, and you're finding very remarkable ways to say this is to my benefit. This will only make me better down the road. This will not only benefit me, but it benefits the people around me. The people who, especially for students, um, I taught I taught middle school kids for a while, and I always tell people, besides the adults and the high schoolers, the middle schoolers were always my favorite crew.
Mm.
And they were just these little eyes, just these little babies, who their eyes were always on us, and you could feel it sometimes. And it was just so, so beautiful that, I could just be right here labbing or just kind of trying to feel the music, but then they're looking at me like, whoa,
Mhm.
whoa, this is amazing. And it's like, dude, you don't even know. Like, wow. Like these little things, they don't take it for granted at all. And they're just so blown away. And like, little did these little people know that, man, that feeling is so mutual. Like, I
Yeah.
watch you guys do your little step, and it's just, it's wonderful. And they would get in their own heads, and it would be a wonderful moment to kind of walk them through that.
Mhm.
And so it's beautiful to hear you kind of speak on that, touch on that, and to know that it's building, and you have a lot of momentum,
Mhm.
not only on a very literal sense, right? A blown ACL 15 years ago, not even that long, 10 years ago, was career ending. That was a
Yeah.
career ending injury. Um, so to see you taking it in stride and saying, you know what, this this is a moment where I have to surrender, and I will be redirected into a certain pathway, even like with these programs and certain things that you've kind of, misstepped with, is not so much of a misstep, but it's like this understanding of like, I was trying to step to my own beat on this,
Mhm.
but there's a real beat that I'm actually getting in step with, and it's taking
Yeah.
me over here now.
Mhm.
Um there's a beautiful story that I was once hearing about you know people of faith. It's like you go to war. Yeah, I can't remember exactly how the story goes, but I love always kind of like going over this with me and some of my friends, where it's like, we go to war, we go to battle, and we do it in the name of the Most High,
Mhm.
and we do it solely for the glory of His kingdom.
Mhm.
And if I was to fall during battle, what a beautiful place to be. That is where I should be praying, flat down on my face. I should be praying right there at His feet. No more of a holy place than to be at the feet of my God. Glory is great when it's glorious and you win all these things. But how auspicious and holy is it to
Mhm.
fall and know where I'm landing, exactly where I'm meant to be? you know, how much more diminished can you be than being
Yeah.
flat out on the floor, man? That's really wonderful, dude. It's really really wonderful to know that there's now when I go to an event and I go out there, I'm gonna start searching them out. Like, there's got to be another Nebula in here somewhere, man. Like, you just got this faith just riding through you. Uh, Thank you for that, man. Thank you for
Yeah.
that, for real. And I do want to save some of this for another episode, right?
Yes.
But I do want to play a little game. This is a new
Okay.
this is a new tradition that I'm doing. Um, I call this my rapid fire, right? So I
Okay.
got I got a couple questions,
All
right?
right.
I like one word answers. Yeah. There'll be a couple in here where you can kind of expand a little bit. But one word answers. Let's see how this goes. Are you
All right.
ready?
Yeah.
All right. First one's super easy. Summer or winter?
Winter.
Mountains or beaches?
Mountains.
Favorite sound?
808s.
Early morning walks or late night strolls?
Ooh, late night strolls.
Favorite way to unwind?
Chilling on the patio.
If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where are you going?
El Salvador.
Ooh, okay. Now, describe yourself in 3 words.
Faithful. Driven. Loving.
Your biggest regret?
Lack of confidence.
Your deepest fear?
I do not know you.
I do not know. Now, if Nebula could write down on a piece of paper to hand to his 15-year-old self, what would it say?
God loves you always.
And last but not least, gym or tips for everybody who may watch this podcast today or in the future?
Enjoy the moment, because the moment's all you got.
Man, let's go. Nebula, brother, thank you. First off, thank you for sharing your vulnerability here. Thank you for being yourself here, your story, and allowing me to share this space with you, man, and have, just a portion of your day. Because, bro, this really filled my cup talking to you. Like, it really filled me up. It's going to be something that I replay over and over and over and over again, man. I truly, truly appreciate this conversation.
Yeah, no, thank you, bro. Thank you for having me on and being able to talk about things that I feel like sometimes I don't get a chance to talk about, and really be able to be that vulnerable, and hopefully, have this be the opportunity for someone else to be like, oh, have that breakthrough or something.
Yeah, brother. Could we expect a part 2 soon?
Oh, absolutely, bro. Yeah, absolutely. We can schedule that. You just hit me up. We'll schedule it.
Yeah, I know you're a busy man. You got a lot of stuff going on, but yeah, just like today, God made a way. God made a way. We made it happen. And so definitely I'll be hitting you up again soon, brother. Again, thank you. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
All righty, brother. We'll be in touch.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
You guys, that was Nebula. You heard it here. Faithful, driven. Like, I just don't even know. There's a part of scripture where when Jesus is making his way from, after being sentenced to his death, he is sentenced to carry his cross. And as he's walking, people are yelling and doing and all this stuff, and he falls down several times. And during this long journey, there's a man by the name of Simon of Cyrene, who comes and assists him and helps him carry his cross to the place of his death. And it's just so odd that you stumble through life sometimes, you fall down a few times, and a wonderful Simon of Cyrene stumbles into your life, right? Unknowingly, unwittingly, just so happened to be there, right place, right time. I don't believe in coincidence. Never have, never will. So I hope that all of you who listen to this understands that when you come across an individual under good recommendation and under good rapport, take a moment, sit down, and just have a conversation with them. Have a conversation with them and speak openly from your own heart. You'll never know where that conversation might go and what it might be able to do for you. This is what the smoking section is about. It's where God found me, or where I found God, because he wasn't lost, I was. And I will always bring people to the places where they may have felt the most lost. And this is a place where we can reconnect, not only with ourselves, with one another, and with the source. Yeah. But this has been the smoking section. I hope you guys have a good day, week, month, year in life. And until next time, stay motivated.